Finding sales tax and tips. Alright, so let's look at this problem. If we are going to solve this, it says find the total cost for the replica jersey. Okay, if I look at the picture, I have the jersey costs $34.99 plus a 5% sales tax. So that means I have to add on 5% of that cost. Okay, so if I were to set this up, I would know my 100%. Okay, but then I also know my $34.99. That is my whole because that's what my cost is currently. Okay, so then I know I'm looking for X. So then I want to make sure I set up my proportion of X over $34.99 is equal to 5 over 100. Okay, we're going to solve this using cross multiplication like we always would. Cross multiply, so I end up with 100x is equal to 5 times $34.99. Multiply it together, and you get $174.95. Okay? To solve for x, I have to divide both sides by 100. So that's going to give me an answer of 1 and 7,495 ten-thousandths. Okay, because dollars do not come that small, we're just going to look at the next place value after our cents, which would be the thousandths place, and that 9 is going to change the 4 up. So that's going to give us $1.95. Okay, if I look at the question again, it says what's the total cost? So $1.75 is not my total cost. That's how much tax I'm going to be paying. So if we wanted to figure out how much we are going to be paying total for this jersey, what could we do with that? Well, if we look at the label, and what it says is it says plus 5% sales tax. So that plus 5% sales tax, it's telling us what to do. It's telling us to add the problem together, or add those $2 amounts together. So $34.99, if I add those together, gives me $36.84. So now, total, I'm going to pay $36.84 for that replica jersey. Alright, let's take a look at finding tax that is due in these different states. So if you were to purchase this MP3 player, this is a real life scenario. Taxes are not the same in each state. Each state has a different amount of taxes that we pay. So we have to be able to find how much the tax is, and then we have to know how much it's going to cost. So this will help us to determine which would be maybe the best state to purchase it in, or just looking at this, figuring out how much we're going to actually be paying in taxes. And it might help us to make that decision whether or not it's worth it to pay the amount of taxes for something based off of the price that it is. So the first state I'm going to look at is Minnesota. And in Minnesota, we're going to pay a 7% tax rate. So if I look at this, I set up my eye chart. I'm going to use 100 down in the bottom right-hand corner. And then I have my 7%, which is going to be on top of that 100. And then that $34, we have to figure out, is that my part or is that my whole? Well, if I'm going to pay $34 for something, that's got to be my whole. So that means that the 34 is going to be down on the bottom, making the X up there on the top. So now I'm going to set up my proportion. So when I set up my proportion, I have X over 34 is equal to 7 over 100. And I'm going to cross multiply. So I have 100x is equal to 34 times 7. When I multiply that together, I get 100x is equal to 238. To get x by itself, I have to divide by 100. So I divide by 100, and I come up with $2.38 is my tax. Now, we have to figure out, how do I find that total? And again, if you look above, it says the sale price plus tax. Plus tax. Well, what could that mean? That means we're going to add the $2.38 onto the original price, which was $34. So if I add that on, I come up with a total price of $36.38. So in the state of Minnesota, you're going to pay $36.38. Okay? Now let's take a look at Wyoming. Wyoming has a 4% sales tax rate. So everything on my eye chart stays the same. The only thing that's changing is my percentage. So what I would really like you to do is stop the video, solve each one of these three percentages, find those sales tax, and then find the total. And then check back to see if you're getting these correct. So I'm going to put my 4% up here on the top, set up my proportion. X over 34 is equal to 4 over 100. Cross multiply. 100x is equal to 34 times 4. So 100x is equal to 136. I'm going to divide by 100. Okay? Now would be a good time to pause and write down that work if you don't understand how to do it. So when I divide 136 by 100, I come up with $1.36 is what I'm going to pay in tax in Wyoming. Again, how am I going to find my total? Well, I'm just going to add that onto the $34, the original, which is going to give me $35.36. Okay? So now let's take a look at Nebraska. Nebraska has a 5.5% tax rate. So we're going to set up our proportion, and we want to cross multiply. So I have 100x is equal to 34 times 5.5. And when I multiply those together, I get 187. Divide both sides by 100, and it gives me a sales tax of $1.87. Okay? Again, I want to add that tax now onto the total cost of the item, which is going to give me $34 plus $1.87. So I come up with $35.87. Now let's take a look at Arizona. Arizona's tax rate is 9%. Okay, so when I set up my proportion, cross multiply, 100x is equal to 34 times 9. 100x is equal to 306 divided by 100, and it gives me a sales tax of $3.06. So I want to add that onto the $34. When I do that, I come up with $37.06. Okay? So this is really based off of a real life scenario. So in Arizona, they pay a lot more tax on everything else because their income tax is not as high. So that's how that is based. All right, now let's take a look at tip. So if I want to leave a 15% tip on a meal, that's going to cost me $45. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make my eye chart. And when I make my eye chart, again, I know my percentage is always going to be down in the bottom right hand corner. And I know my percent of tip that I want to leave is 15%. So I'm going to write that on the top. And then if my meal is going to cost $45, well, that has to be my whole, so that's going to be on the bottom left-hand corner. And then I have my X on top. So if I want to set this up as a proportion, I'm going to have X over 45 is equal to 15 over 100. cross multiply, just like we always would with a proportion. And we have 100x is equal to 45 times 15. So 100x is equal to 675. Divide both by 100 gives me x is equal to $6.75. So my tip on this meal is going to be $6.75. Okay? But now we have to figure out what is the total cost. Because in order to pay for our meal, we have to actually pay for the whole cost. We can't just pay for the meal and somehow that tip is a part of what the meal is. So just like with the sales tax, we have to add that on to the total in the end. So the $45 is going to equal $51.75. So our total cost that we're going to leave on the table when we pay for our meal is $51.75. Alright, we're going to look at our last problem. And since we're talking about leaving tips, why don't you write the word French toast in your upper left-hand corner of your notes. And what we're going to do, I would like you to solve this problem on your own. So pause the video so that you can solve it. So we're going to have an 18% tip for a $60 meal. Okay, so pause the video, solve that, and then check back to see how your answer goes. Okay, make my eye chart. 100 is in the bottom. 18 is my percent, so that goes on top. 60 is the total cost of the meal. So when I set up my proportion, cross multiply, I end up with 100x is equal to 60 times 18. And I'm going to take 100x is equal to 1,080, which is going to give me a $10.80 tip. Okay? So again, we have to figure out what's our total cost of the meal. So in order for us to do that, we're going to add in the $60 plus the $10.80 our tip, which is going to leave us with a grand total of $70.80. I hope your answer matched up. If you have any questions, please go back and watch the video.